Kieran Trippia over the wall, or will he be leaving the football club? Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day, and it's all about a certain right back who loves to put it over the wall or over the wall where we are from. That's right, Kieran Trippier, Newcastle United's Iron Man, if you will, the sign that started it all, the first sign after the takeover. The talk is, will Newcastle United be at a crossroads this summer where they have to let Kieran Trippier go? Now, the old Ronnie Gill have done an article about it, amongst a few others as well. So I'm going to give you my tuppence worth on Kieran Trippier right now. So first of all, Kieran Trippier, what an unbelievable player this lad has been for Newcastle United. We signed him back in 2022. He was the first major signing after the takeover. A player who won La Liga with Atletico Madrid, and England international, just scored an unbelievable free kick in a major tournament. No business coming to a team facing relegation. I think we were bottom or second bottom of the league there and then. Kieran Trippier came to Newcastle United. Everyone said, he's only after it for the money. He wasn't after it for the money at all. He wanted to come back to England for family reasons. He wanted to come back to the north of England. Newcastle United's project appealed to Kieran Trippier, and oh boy, did he deliver when he came back to this football club. Not only unbelievable performances, free kicks, assists, quality goals. Remember that one, Jordan Pickford picked that out, son. Loads of brilliant performances. Not only that, it was his professionalism, his leadership, the way he raised the standards of every single player around him. Even the new players that came were looking to Kieran Trippier for guidance. And the leadership material in Kieran Trippier shone through right from day one. And it was no surprise where he got the on-field captain's armband. Now, Jamal Lascelles may have still been the club captain, so to speak, but for me, Kieran Trippier was always the captain. And he was absolutely brilliant. You could see him on the pitch, whether you watch him on the TV, but certainly if you're live watching them in the flesh, he's constantly talking to players. You stand there, giving people rounds of applause, encouragement for playing well. Next time, get your head up, cross it early. And you can see there's a coach in that player. There is no doubt about it at all. And that leads me on to my opinion on him in a minute. But unbelievable footballer for Newcastle United. The best right back I've seen at this club, bar none. Sorry, Warren Barton, love you. We've had Warren on the channel, but Kieran Trippier, absolutely brilliant. I think Warren will probably back me up on that one as well, to be fair. But 123 appearances for Newcastle United, 4 goals and 25 assists. Better than some of our wingers, by the way, who have long since said goodbye to Barrack Road. But this guy has been unbelievable. But Father Time caught up on Kieran Trippier a little bit this season. We've got to say it. He's 34. He's 35 in September. This lad cannot play 2 or 3 games in a week. He cannot play Premier League, Champions League, and an FA Cup game, for example, the weekend. He just can't fucking do it. You can see that his legs were failing him. He was struggling to keep up with players way below his abilities as a footballer, just because he didn't have the pace. Football's all about pace now. They're athletes rather than footballers. Some of these guys have got a shit touch. I've got a better touch than half of these fuckers, but they're rapid and got pace to burn. And Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, Sher, even those kind of players will struggle against that rapid pace. That's why we've got the youth of Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall, Sven Botman when he's fit, and maybe a new right-sided centre-half as well. But for me, Kieran Trippier has been an unbelievable servant to this football club. And for me personally, I would rather keep him at the football club. I'll explain why in a second. Now, Kieran's contract expires at the end of June next year. He's reportedly on about 5 million quid a year. So I think it breaks down about 120 grand a week. But for me, the lad is worth keeping around. I know people will be saying, well, good deal, Chris. He's not going to get in the head of Tino Livramento, is he? He's not going to play on the left in front of Lewis Hall, right? But he can if he has to, right? So that's important. I love Emil Kraft. He never lets you down. He's a steady 6 out of 10, right? But if Tino has got a hamstring injury or Hall's suspended or whatever, you don't want Kraft jumping in and filling in front of these 2 players. You just don't want that. I'm sorry, you don't. He works hard, but he's not at the level Kieran Trippier is. And for me, I think Kieran Trippier's probably got another season, maximum 2, in his locker. Probably 1 season in the Premier League, maybe 2 seasons on a continent. Apparently, AC Milan is sniffing around him. They decided not to sign Kyle Walker, who I think is really at the tip and edge now of finishing. I think Kieran's probably got another year or 2 in him. I think Kyle Walker was done. But when you play like Kyle Walker has with that rapid pace for so long in his career, he is burning himself out. His hamstrings will be made of fucking cheese strings at the moment. That's what they'll be like. That poor kid. And I think he'll go into the media anyway. Kyle Walker, he's got that podcast that works really well. I think he'll go down that route. But Kieran Trippier, for me, another year definitely in the Premier League. What I would do with Kieran Trippier next season if I was Newcastle, I would retain him certainly until his contract expires next June. But I would retain him for next season with a view to keeping him fresh, keeping him for massive games Champions League games, games that could decide the top four, those kind of games. Some of those games where maybe Tino Livramento or Lewis Hall potentially could just get swallowed up a little bit in the gravitas of those games. I mean, I think they're both unbelievably young talents. I really do. I think I've said this before and I'll say it again. Those two, for me, are heirs to the throne that Trent Alexander-Arnold has now vacated, and Andy Robertson may even vacate too. Apparently, Atletico Madrid sniffing around Robertson. That would be funny. Seeing them two in a derby, wouldn't it? The opposite ends of the park. But for me, Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall can grasp those thrones as the best fullbacks in the league. Some Chelsea fan came at me with Cucurella and Reece James. One breaks his ankle tying his shoelaces, and the other one looks like pubes you'd pull out the fucking shower drain. No thanks. Nowhere near the level of Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall, in my opinion. And next season, those lads will show it. But we've got Premier League, Champions League, and domestic cups all to squeeze in next season. And there'll be international football as well in the mix, where Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento will probably be away with England as well. So Kieran Trippier, for me, keep him around the squad, not just for his ability to play in those big games, to have the mentality and the leadership and the control and the mental capacity to get everybody through it as well, but also because he's still a quality player and he still has a lot to give. He can't give you it 3 times a week, but once a week, maybe, yes. Against Barcelona at whatever stadium they're going to be playing at, sure as shit will be the new camp, how far behind they are with that plan. If it was Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, would you rather have Kieran Trippier sitting at right back? Maybe you would, because of his mentality and his experience in that moment. Maybe shift Tino over to left back if you're worried about how Lewis Hall's going to play in that game. I don't know. But to have the option there, for me, makes Newcastle United's squad stronger. It does. Kieran Trippier's got a big decision to make here, because AC Milan, does he want to go and play a season for them? What an unbelievable football club that is, to play over in Italy as well. I'll get into maybe some of Kieran's potential off-field problems. I don't know fuck all about it, got to say that, but reported off-field problems that may curtail a move like that. But that's a big appeal to Kieran Trippier. I mean, over the last couple of windows, where Galatasaray, Bayern Munich, AC Milan now sniffing around Kieran Trippier, as well as the Saudi Pro Leagues, you don't sniff around a player when your club's as big as that unless you know he's still got something to give. And Kieran Trippier has got something to give. That wand of a right peg of his can still do the business. He was the one who whipped it in for Dan Burn to score that unbelievable historical goal against Liverpool to win us our first trophy in 70 years. And he's still capable of those moments. So for me, I would rather keep him around next season. Let's talk about his £5 million a year contract. It'll cost you more than that to sign a player to replace him in the squad. So it makes no sense for me to get rid of Kieran Trippy. He showed towards the back end of the season, once he rests, once he is used sparingly, how much he can still give. I don't think he plays week in, week out. I think you're probably looking at it saying, right, the Premier League starting 11 is Tino Livramento right back, Lewis Hall left back, with Kieran Trippier on the bench as an option if you need him. Maybe in the Champions League, when you've got a massive big game and you're maybe worried a little bit about Tino's lack of experience or Hall's lack of experience, that's when Kieran Trippier comes to town, in my opinion. Maybe a cup semi-final, when again, potentially that's a huge big game that you're a little bit concerned about. That's when Kieran Trippier's experience and pedigree comes to town. So I would want to keep him in the football club. And then at the end of his contract, if he thinks that's his playing career done, get him on the coaching staff, Eddie. Get him on the coaching staff. He's absolutely brilliant. You can see the leadership there. You can see the coach within him. He talks so highly of Eddie Howe as well. What a better coach to learn off if you're Kieran Trippier, if you want to go into the world of coaching, than Eddie Howe, and the way Jason Tyndall is with the players as well. And I really do think that some of these players you see, some of these players you look at and you think, you know what, these players are going to be pundits, these players are going to be coaches. I look at Callum Wilson, for example, and Callum's great, charismatic, cool as fuck, funny. That's a pundit right there for me, and a really good one as well. I think Callum Wilson will end up being an excellent pundit for somebody somewhere, whether it be Sky, TNT, DAZN, something like that. But Kieran Trippier, I just see a coach. I see a guy who's going to be a coach, and a really fucking good one as well. And I think when his career, career ends next season, probably, he goes and coaches at Newcastle United youth team level reserves, helping those young players come through, the likes of Leo Sahar in the youth academy and stuff like that. What a great guy to have around to do that, to teach those players what it's all about being a modern day fullback. It's a big decision for Newcastle. It makes a big decision for Kieran Trippy to make. Does he want to be the second choice right back in the Premier League? Does he want to just get wheeled out for big games here and there? Or does he fancy his chances still playing for a big team like AC Milan overseas and having one season overseas, playing abroad again like he did so successfully at Atletico Madrid? But the reported off-field complications, I'll call them. Listen, we all walk We all walk our paths and they get complicated and the roads get bumpy. Sometimes you take a little detour off. Nobody's fucking life's perfect, whether you're a professional footballer or you're a fucking postman. We all have issues and situations with our families and everything else that goes along with this journey we call life. And Kieran seems to have had those, and does he really want to go and play abroad and be that far away from his kids? I don't think he does. So I think this whole move abroad thing, I don't think washes with me. I don't think Kieran Trippier will want that move. Yes, the appeal of the club and the gravitas of playing for those big European clubs, yes. But the practicalities and the logistics away from his kids, I don't see that. I really, really don't. So I think he'll stay in England. If he doesn't sign with Newcastle, he might end up going to someone like Everton and giving them a season or two, and probably playing really well. So let's hope that doesn't happen because, my God, could you imagine a 25-yard free kick and watching him whip one in the top corner while they're all singing Kieran Trippy over the wall? Jesus, that would make me bluer than this shirt, which I love, by the way. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think about Kieran Trippier. Would you keep him for another season? Do you think get his wages off the books so we can get some of the players in, or maybe give some pay rises to the likes of Isaac or Hall or Tino or whatever? Do you think it's time to say thanks, Kieran? Off you go. I said that a long time ago before anyone gives me that shit in the comments when he looked like he was struggling, but he's went and reinvented himself, worked on it, and he's come back stronger than ever, in my opinion. So I still think he's got another year to be part of this squad and a key member of this squad. But I want to hear what you guys think. Drop a comment and like and subscribe. Keep it evermore. Help get us to the next milestone, which is 11,000. I think we're something like 400 and something away, or whatever it may be. Loads of content over the summer. I know some of you like the transfer links, some of you don't. This is just an opinion piece, which I know normally lands quite well with a lot of you. But listen, this is summer. That's what us content creators do. Over the summer, we talk about links to the football club, and that's just what we do. I'm not ITK, neither is Mark. We never claimed to be. We're just talking about links in the media. This is another one that's in the media. But in my opinion, I want Kieran to stay. Let's tell me what you want to do. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for watching. Keep it evermore. Hit the buttons. See you later. Cheers.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.